Dr. Pierre Alain-Baud, an independent researcher from France, is an author and cultural expert with over 45 years of experience in South Asia and Latin America. He holds a PhD from the universities of Grenoble and Mexico. Dr. Baud has published numerous books, including works on Sufi music and Mexican dance, and has conducted postdoctoral research in Pakistan and Bangladesh. Fluent in French, English, and Spanish, with additional knowledge of Portuguese, Bengali, and Urdu Hindi, he has also led international cultural programs and contributed extensively to academic and cultural events worldwide. Please welcome Dr. Pierre Alain-Baud to talk about life and legacy of Ustad Nusrat Fateh, a global messenger of Qawwali Sufi singing. Please, Dr. Saab. Please welcome Dr. Baud.
Bahut shukriya, salam alaikum first of all, and bahut shukriya, and thanks a lot to all of you to be here, and especially with a very, very cheerful thanks to Hola and to Tawhid, who is somewhere, and definitely with the conference chief organizers, and express some views on this great citizen of this Lyallpur soil. Well, first of all, I would like just to leave the floor to the master, seen through the eyes of a French documentary film director, Yves Billon, and the film is it's only 15 minutes, it's a fragment of a larger film, which was made in 1989. That means you will see it's a 3 mini sequences film, which shows diverse aspects of a fresh reminder of the voice and on the presence of our Ustadji. First fragment is in the Urs of Data Sahib in Lahore. Second one is in the old building, the old family building in La Surisha, and third one in Saidan Dargah. You will see a different aspect of. Actually, it's quite challenging to speak about Nusrat here, considering that a number of, particularly for the foreign national, and considering a number of you people, particularly the most senior, have definitely know him, knew him, and meet the family, and still are quite in touch with the family, and it's you have witnessed a lot of his from his birth to his access to global fame. Because otherwise, it's a long film. It's a beautiful film on music from Pakistan, and which feature a number. It's a traveling movie which focused a number of musicians, of expressions from north to south, and including the Shajwaragi fakirs from Sindh, from classical singers, folk singers, and things.
मन का मकान बनाया, दरवाजा अक्ल का फिर उसमें अजब लगाया। जब इस तरह से बनकर तैयार हो गया घर, और रूह बनकर उसमें खुद आप ही समाया, और खुद ही कहा
अपना तो नहीं था, मुलाकात ही नहीं हो सकी। जाना नहीं आपने
अली हस्तम पेशवाए तमाम रिंदानम के सगे पूवे शेर यजदानम पेशवाए सगे कुए शेर यजदानम कभी दीवार हिलती है कभी दर कांप जाता है अली का नाम सुनकर अब भी खैबर कांप जाता है शाह मर्दान Adi Saregabani, Nidarigata, Daridane, Gadenita, Saregabani, Nizaregabata, Daridane,
Well, it's even more challenging to talk after him, actually. It was so emotional. To be a Kawal is to be more than a singer, more than an artist. Kawali is enlightenment itself, confided Nusrat in some interviews. An enlightenment quest that he will never cease to embody during his lifetime, and which more than 25 years after his death still illuminates our inner landscapes in the East and in the West. Known as Singing Buddha in Tokyo, quintessence of the human song in Tunis, Voice of Paradise in Los Angeles, and so on, Pavarotti of the East in Paris, and so on. Nusrat was a man of all extremes: weight, impressive, octaves up to 5 or 6, depending on the source. Albums, 120 in 1990, according to the Guinness Book of Records, certainly more than double now. Indeed, constant new recordings or tributes are released, supposed to be original ones or post-mortem fusions, as diverse as they are unexpected. Some of his thousands of videos on YouTube and concerts have been seen dozens of millions of times. Yet, he was a man of profound humility, dedicated first and foremost to the message, the words of the Sufi poets, the mystics of Islam, of an Islam of love and union. A man out of time, drawing us into the madness of his declarations of love for the divine. A true man of his time too, open to 1001 experiments, 1001 crossbreedings and fusions, rooted and universal, committed and free. Within barely 25 years, only 15 of them spent on the international stage, he conquered the world, embodying in Pakistan and around the world an old age-old Sufi culture steeped in mysticism and devotion to the saint, as well as a dazzling modernity that turned everything upside down. Participating in both worlds, he was a fabulous bridge builder, already a myth in his lifetime between generation, between tradition and modernity, between East and West, sacred and profane. As all of you know, everything started here in Lyallpur, where Nusrat was born in La Shurisa Road, just in front of La Surisha Dargahs, right after the partition in October 1948. He came from a line of at least 9 generations of musicians, said to have come from Balkh in present-day Afghanistan, also the homeland of the poet Jalaluddin Rumi. But the family had already settled for many generations in the eastern part of Punjab, Jalandhar, more precisely. However, having joined the Pakistan cause, the family migrated from Jalandhar to the then named Lyallpur during the partition time and settled right in front of the La Shurisa Dargah, a shrine where his father and uncle, Fateh and Mubarak Ali Khan, used to regularly come every year for the celebration of the Urs, the death anniversary of this saint they have been quite close with. During their whole careers, the family group members had developed their mastery of Qawwali, this devotional Sufi style of music and song, at the confluence of the poetic and musical traditions of Khorasan and classical Hindustani music. This form was synthesized by the famous musician and poet Amir Khusro, who was a disciple of the great Sufi saint Nizamuddin Auliya of Delhi, Himself a famous disciple of Hazrat Muhyiddin Chishti of Ajmer Sharif, the great disseminator of the Chishtiya Sufi brotherhood in the subcontinent. This Chishtiya brotherhood notably advocated the use of music and poetry celebrated around the mystical Sama concert as a means of spiritual ascent, and at its peak, as an experience of reunion with the divine lover, everyone within every one of us. The mystical reunion that lies at the heart of the Sufi approach. Long centered around the devout circles of Sufi shrines or cultivated lovers of classical music, Qawwali owes his renaissance in the 20th century Pakistan to two factors, at least. On the one hand, this poetic and music style was promoted as a strong element of national identity by the new Pakistani state. It was indeed a style affiliated to the sphere of Islam, vigorous and communitarian. And on the other hand, the Qawwali Renaissance was also facilitated by the wide dissemination of Qawwali through the new medias that were developing at the time, such as radio or later television, and to a large extent the films of Lollywood and Bollywood with these filmy Qawwalis. In addition to the talent of Nusrat's family and personal lineage, it was also clearly the secular environment that fostered the development and career of the family group, led by his father, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, and his uncle, Mubarak Ali Khan. It's often mentioned that Nusrat was named Pervez at his birth, but he received his predestined name Nusrat, way to success, shortly after by the grace of a visiting dervish. Though Nusrat was clearly showing a predisposition for music from an early age, his father Fateh was quite reluctant to let him follow his inclination, as he was not sure his fatted son would succeed in enduring the harshness of taking over the family torch of Qawwali. He was thinking more of a career of a doctor for his first son, born after several daughters. But it was without considering the strong will of Nusrat, very early sensitized by the family environment, who immersed himself deeply in these musical waves. Often in secret, he was listening to his father and uncle and all the illustrious guests who passed through the family home in Lyallpur. And after the discreet listening to his father's singing style and the lesson to his students, he also began to practice the tabla on the sly. But by chance, Fateh Ali Khan discovered him one day and, accepting his son's obvious choice, started to training first on the tabla, then on the harmonium and the singing, through in a very demanding way. Unfortunately, this training was short-lived, as Fateh was diagnosed with throat cancer and died in March 1964, just as Nusrat was finishing his school exams. Nusrat's apprenticeship was then continued by his uncle, Mubarak, until his death in 1971, particularly in the intricate of classical Drupad singing, whereas his father used to focus more on the Khayal style. As Nusrat's first biographer, Akil Rubi Shaib, poetically recounts, Fateh Ali Khan has prepared his son as a cultivator, prepared the soil to receive the seed. The work of Mubarak Ali Khan worked like a gardener watering the newly grown plant. From 1971, initially performing with his cousin Mujahid Mubarak Ali Khan, the eldest son of his late uncle, Mubarak, Nusrat took off on his own, accompanied by his young brother Farouk on harmonium and musical arrangement. Since then, it was a steady rise, in Pakistan first and foremost, both in the most prestigious annual pilgrimage such as Ali Jweri's Data Ganj Bakhsh Urs in Lahore, or in more secular celebrations such as the 700th anniversary of Amir Khusro's death, organized by the Pakistan National Council for the Arts. But what enormously contributed to his success in Pakistan was, in addition to live concert, radio and television broadcasting, the booming cassette distributions, a cheap and easily accessible means of listening to popular singers everywhere. As early as the mid-70s, Nusrat and his band began recording dozens and dozens of audio cassettes, notably with the famous Remat gramophone house just nearby Gantagar in Faizalabad, and who produced hundreds of cassettes. Then came his first invitation abroad, in India first in 1979 for the wedding of Bollywood star Rishi Kapoor, son of Raj Kapoor, in Bombay, where he caused a sensation in front of the Indian film elite, singing Halka Halka Zurur Hai for over 2 hours at a stretch, as his faithful tabla player Dildar Hussain records. Then came an invitation by the Pakistani diaspora abroad, notably in the UK, where he was invited from the early 80s by Mr. Mohammed Ayoub, the director of the Oriental Star Agency Production Company. With him, they performed numerous concerts and made record-breaking audios and videos. Recordings which are still being quite marketing. But what really marked a turning point in Nusrat's career and the global aura and iconic status was, we've been celebrating, was the year 1985. That year, in the space of few months, he was indeed invited to England to attend to one of the first editions of the Women World Music Festival and to perform on the prestigious stage of Théâtre de la Ville in Paris. And a global star was born. We know the rest with the worldwide success of this Lyallpur native, invitation to perform on all 5 continents, spreading everywhere the wise verses of Baba Bulleh Shah, Baba Farid, Rumi, or Mohammed Iqbal. There were countless traditional live audio recordings and so many remixes. He was invited to participate in numerous Bollywood films and Hollywood films, of course. Last Temptation of the Christ that I'm working. He was also working, starting with a lot of host of young Pakistani artists, like the iconic group Junoon, or those from the Indo-Pak diaspora in the West. Since his premature death at the age of 48, 49 in 97, as he was unfortunately totally burnt out by the exhausting whirlpool of his life, his aura has been growing up higher and higher. Hundreds of blogs, Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter or WhatsApp group account with him. According to Real World Record, they are going to even release next month a new lost album. He has an average of 6 million listeners every month on Spotify. As I got the good fortune to participate in his international promotion and to accompany him in Rio in Pakistan in the early mid-80s, I'd like to mention a few other highlights of his epoch today. He definitely put Pakistan on the world music map, opening a new venue for Qawwali groups, but also for many, many other musicians, being classical, traditional, devotional, popular, from all the provinces. He insufflated a new spirit and new vigor to young Desi artists in the diaspora, widening their local audience. And not only just artists, he also the diaspora as a whole, especially those of Pakistani origin, giving them a new sense of pride in their local communities. He has been a major inspiration for countless musicians, novelists, choreographers. He inspired also academics like Virendra Kala, who considers him as a major figure of modern Punjabi art, the linguistic and cultural Punjabi identity that crosses over religion, caste, and national division. And I would say much beyond Punjab, all over the Desi, the subcontinent, as seeing the impact he has still today, and more even today, even with the young generation within the Indian and in Bangladesh and others. Indeed, while all what's happening, converting him into a global icon, these two artists was and man of faith appeared to remain humble and sincere to the very end of his early life. And he always saw himself as a messenger at the service of a universal message. In the 1966 film, Nusrat, the Last Prophet, he says, "I would like to give a message of love, knowledge, and humanity. How Sufi music is a bridge to other nations. It invites people to get closer in love and brotherhood. It is the way to bring people together." But possibly, and I want to end with that, one of the most striking points for me is that Nusrat has always reflected back the nature and the quality of everyone's listening. That reminds me of one of the old 12th century Persian master, Shihabuddin Shuravari, when he wrote that music only brings to life feelings in the heart that already belong to it. Nusrat updates such views, telling once that in Pakistan or worldwide, the public is very varied, with diverse motivations. Some come for the music, others to hear the message. Those able to understand the message and its depth will react to the message and to music. But for some others, the exact effect will be sought by the master world, will be created by the music alone. I would say that Nusrat was an incredible, inspired musical sponge, if I can say. Depending on the moment or the audience, he would naturally return certain vibration of such atmospheres during the concert. Anticipating anticipating the nature of listening of the audience. He was developing litanies and long verses in mystical poetry during a traditional Sufi ceremony, or free-flowing vocalizing for an international audience. He was choosing traditional accompaniment for an horse, electric instrumentation for a public concert with young Pakistanis in Qaddafi Stadium, Lahore, or a classical solo for distinguished festival audience in French Avignon Festival. According to the setting and the mood, he was developing the poems or improvising for 3 hours and an hour or a night, 3 minutes or a night, surfing on the successive wave of the initial melody, adjusting it to the environment and the inspiration. Sensible to any particularity, he has become an emblematic figure of our global village, attracting a wide range of listeners without ever betraying himself. He was like a metaphor for the modernity, wrestling with our own singularities, reminding us to our own listening, our own journeys and wanderings, strolling through our emotions and revealing what lies latent in them, wherever in the East or in the West. Hats off. Ustadji. Well, I shortened a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Baud.